We are Heather and Paul Christie.
And for over 12 years, we've worked with executives and entrepreneurs to accelerate change in every aspect of their business.
Because we are in the fastest paced business environment that anyone has ever seen before.
So join us for the Evolve to Win show. Hi, and welcome to another Evolve to Win show with Heather and Paul.
Hey, good to have you here today. Good to have you here today.
Yeah,
we just got in late last night. All right.
You can't be a great leader unless you find out what your team thinks about you.
And not just what they think about you, what they really think about you.
What they really think about you.
Yeah, there's a distinction.
And so how do you find that out?
Well, you think about what feedback most leaders get,
Yes.
right? Solicited or unsolicited. If it's just face-to-face feedback, a lot of times you get what you want to hear, right? Or what they think you want to hear, which is the positive feedback. Hey, great meeting, or great presentation, or just great job in general.
Right. Nobody ever really wants to find out the truth, right?
Well, you know, it's
Most
interesting.
people don't.
There are a lot of people out there who actually really don't do well with receiving feedback.
Yeah.
So what happens is they put their coat of armor on. I mean, think about this. The last time that you received unsolicited feedback, you know, what's the first thing you do is you put your defenses up, right? So one of the first things that I want to share here is that as a leader, which, you know, basically all of us in all positions have a leadership role to play, right? So I'm not talking about your title. I'm just talking about to grow yourself personally and professionally. The way of being has to start with, I am constantly seeking feedback. So I want you to ask yourself that question. First of all, are you constantly seeking feedback? And not just, you know, hearing a good job, but are you really seeking the real feedback, which is, I want information on what I did well. Of course, that's really important to have.
Right.
I also want information on what I could be doing better in every aspect of my world. So are you in that place as a mindset of constantly seeking feedback, seeking real feedback? Because if you're not there and you do start to receive feedback, you're probably going to deflect it. You're not going to really take it in.
The only way you truly can find out what people think of you, and the key is anonymously.
Well, there's certainly
anonymously.
There are some tools out there that allow us to receive feedback in an anonymous way.
Yeah.
Right. Like one of our favorite tools is a really simple one. We use SurveyMonkey. Right. And we craft surveys. Now, we've been doing this for so many years now. We've kind of taken it from maybe a very extensive survey down to just a few key core questions, that are designed in a way that we're receiving feedback. You know, what did you like? What can we do better? That kind of thing. And usually we'll use a scale as well, you know, on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. You know, how much did you value the program today? Type of thing, right?
And so we use it in presentations.
Every time, after every presentation, we have some level of feedback that we will that will generate either by a written survey that we hand out to people or by using SurveyMonkey.
So let me give you an example of a couple of questions that we use. So usually we make these surveys fairly short, and
on purpose,
and like ratings. So that's either yes or no, or a 10-point scale, or something that's very simple, because you just definitely don't want to overload people once you give them the survey, right? So we were in California, and we gave a presentation, and here are the 4 questions that we gave. There were about 25 attendees to this.
30. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we said, okay, so we had done some assessments and debriefs with them prior to, and so we asked them in the question 1, did you find the leadership assessment and debrief valuable?
And that's a yes or no answer.
And sorry about that. That was a yes or no answer. By the way, they were all yeses.
Oh, good. I haven't even seen these results yet.
Then number 2 was, using a scale from 1 to 10, please rate the leadership and communications training session. The scale is 1 is no value and 10 is extremely valuable. We got a 9 on that. So far, there's more that are coming in. Question number 3 was, what do you want to take away from the...
What did you take away?
I'm sorry. What did you take away from the May 3rd meeting that you will implement to improve your leadership and or participation on the team. And that was a written in.
Yeah, an open-ended question.
Yeah, open-ended question where you could just write in. So we did have a fair amount of people writing in there. And then the last question was, any other comments, questions, or feedback for us? And that was a open-ended fill in the blank. And we did get a lot of people just, and that's, especially if you're presenting or you just want to find out, you really to get the feedback about what happened is, and this was anonymous, so people could write in whatever they wanted. And that's the key, because we found when we first started doing this that we'd always ask for people's names, but maybe we weren't getting the real truth. And so I think it's really important as you do these surveys to find out and get true feedback, that you make them anonymous, and so that you can really start to learn from that.
One other key to doing this survey is that you position it. So position it during the program, yep. Whether you're someone coming in from the outside or whether you're a leader and you're maybe running a meeting or putting on a presentation, that you let people know that you're going to send a short anonymous survey and you really want to get feedback, because you're seeking to understand what's valuable. You're also seeking, where you can improve. And the key is to get that survey out immediately, as fast as you possibly
yep.
can after whatever program you're running. Is it a project or a presentation? But at least by the next day, because that's, it's the instant feedback. That's when it's still really fresh on people's minds, and they're going to give you the best feedback. If you wait a couple of days, if you wait a week, that feedback's pretty stale by then.
Yeah.
So you want to get it immediately, as fast as you can.
Yeah, but it's so key. I mean, no matter what position you're in, to be asking for feedback, honest feedback, anonymous feedback from either your peers or people who you are leading, is just so essential to growing and sometimes it can be scary, because you really don't want sometimes to find out exactly what people think of you. But when you put it anonymously, you are going to get some feedback. And we've got plenty, but you know what? They have helped us learn so much, and to alter and to change and to do things and improve on, it's definitely our presenting skills and setup. They've told us about, things that they didn't like about the room and how it was set up. They didn't like, a particular story. They didn't like the way that Heather was dressed.
We've not heard that one, I don't think.
I think we did.
No, but even some of the basics that you're not thinking about, when you're timing the breaks and whether or not there's food or drinks available, if the room's too hot, too cold. So, some of them are just, the environmental type of responses that you understand. And look, the better we can make it for people all around, obviously, the better the program is going to be received. So I want to talk about another form of feedback that you can get as a leader, and many of you are intimately familiar with this one, and it's called 360 feedback. So if you've never done one of these before and you're in a leadership position, this is probably the most powerful feedback you can get. So I want you to imagine 360 feedback is when you are asking your boss, your peer group, those who work for you. So it's kind of like 360, asking people all around you. And then usually even there are some from outside, maybe cross-functional other departments. And they are assessing you in a number of different areas based on what you're looking for. So maybe it's a leadership assessment, maybe it's a communications, maybe it's multiple different areas. We have 360s we use that are customized too, where we can actually create the questions that go in there if there's a specific area that you really want to find out about. Let's say that you've got an executive who is doing extremely well in most areas, but there's this blind spot and you just can't get through to them. 360s are a great way to get through to them, because they're actually reading live, real information from people all around them. And what I always do when I debrief a 360 feedback is I say, we're looking for themes. Every now and then you're going to get a comment that's an outlier. And if it's just one comment, I don't give it a whole lot of weight. I take it in as information, but I don't give it a whole lot of weight. It's when you hear over and over and over what's going on, the issue that arises, that's typically the issue where the blind spot exists. Right?
Yeah.
Why are you smiling? Why are you smiling?
Well, I think, there's a lot where you may get feedback. I know we've seen it in the past, like people are in the habit of cutting people off in conversation or talking over people as a leader. And that's brought out in 360s. And so, you know, and sometimes it shows up when they're leading and maybe not when, you know, they're the superiors. They're not doing it during their superiors, but they're doing it when they're leading people or their peers. And so it's just, you find out so many different things. That's what's great about 360s. It really gives you a complete overview of what truly is going on.
Right, because we even break it down into your boss, your peers, those who work for you. So you find out, do you manage up really well, but you don't manage down as well, or vice versa? There's a lot of people who they manage down really well. They're the people who work for them love them, but they're not really good with their peers, right? So I'll give you a quick example. Recently, I did a 360 with someone, and the biggest issue that he had was that he was really defensive when he got feedback. So I'm reading this feedback and I'm like, oh, here we go, right? So as soon as I gave that feedback, of course, the immediate reaction was, well, I know exactly who said that. And this is because of this. And he immediately got defensive. And
well, and the thing is, because it's anonymous, there people who are defensive are always saying, I know who said that.
Yes.
Like, you don't know for a fact who said that,
yes.
but they're just going to draw conclusions to, yeah, I think this is who said it.
Well, it's interesting because I can't tell you how many 360s we've done and how many of the executives will try to take an answer and pin it on someone.
Right.
And I always coach them like, that's not the drill. This is not what we're doing. So I have to keep reframing them to get into this place of just being open and receptive. What does this mean? What if this were actually true? What if what people perceive about you is the truth?
Ooh.
Because a lot of times we don't mean to be that way. So it's because it's not my intention. I say, no, that doesn't fit with me.
Yeah.
But listen, if you're hearing it from someone else, you know, everyone else around us is a mirror for how we're behaving. And wouldn't you want to know if you're showing up as somebody who's defensive, someone who's not a good listener? You know, that's another one that I recently got, is someone who just I don't feel like he hears me.
Yeah, but
right?
we're really talking about uncovering blind spots in your own leadership skills. So, you know, if you own a company, if you are a leader in an organization, and you are currently not doing any type of surveys or feedback, a mechanism in a way that people can actually give you anonymous feedback, might want to consider that, because I think it's all about uncovering those blind spots, truthfully sitting down with them, taking it in, evaluating it, and potentially making some changes in the way that you're leading your team. Because you are going to, if the questions are positioned properly and you position it properly to them, letting them know that you really truly want feedback to improve your skills as a leader, they will give you honest feedback that's going to help you learn and become better. And so you just have to, you know, I don't know what the word is. You do have to be somewhat courageous and open to and willing to take a little bit of a beating. Yeah, because it's not always going to be pleasant. In fact, like when I first give 360 results, I usually give them a moment and I say, I want you to read through this and breathe and then go back through again. And my coaching is usually to say, you know, it's always to tell people, I want you to first time through, just take it in. And then next time through, look just for the positives, right? Because you kind of digest this in bits and pieces. Right. Look just for the positive. What did you learn about yourself that other people are really recognizing? Because human nature, for most people, I say over 80% of the people based on our statistics that we have, most people are looking immediately for what looks negative and where do I need to improve. Right. But I want you to start by looking for the positive. You know, what is it that I'm hearing from people? What strengths are they recognizing that coming from me? And how do I continue to really understand those strengths and tap into them? So the simple way to do that, just to recap here is position that you are going to ask for feedback, and then use something like SurveyMonkey or other online survey 360 programs surveys, that you can use. You can use 360s if you want to get a little bit more intense with it. But if you just want some quick feedback from your team, that's a great way of doing it. And it gives you a good start to finding out what's working, what's not working. And if you're getting to the place of doing a formal
analysis, that looks more like the 360. And there's a couple different ways to do it. So there's the online 360 surveys. The other way to do it, and quite honestly, if you want the best of the best of the best feedback, I actually do individual sessions with people. So I will do, did you just say you do? Like you actually don't know that? I will actually go in and have one-on-one meetings with those people around you. So it's still a 360, but it's not where they're just on their computer filling things out. Because one of the things that I have observed, depending on how powerfully that 360 is positioned, if you're doing 360s for all of your leaders all at the same time, we've got some clients who have done that, right? They want to do it as a phase, and they do all managers and all supervisors and all senior leaders. And what happens is you have so many raters around you who are rating multiple managers, multiple executives. And it starts to become a little bit of a, we got to hurry up and get it done. And it's just kind of checking it off the list.
Right.
So that's why I say you want the best of the best feedback. You actually hire someone who will go and interview one-on-one the people who work with and for you.
Yeah.
And I tell you
confidence.
What, it's all in confidence. And I've had clients sometimes give pushback and say, oh, they won't open up to you. And they do. They tell me so much more than you could ever imagine. And that's really powerful to get insight. I mean, I even read the body language so that I can see what is that relationship. I can tell whether there's trust there. I can tell whether there's respect there. And I can also tell, I will find out whatever the issue is that someone's holding on to. And if you don't find a way to put that behind you, it's going to cloud that relationship going forward for as long as you let it. Right?
Good. So if you want to become a great leader, then you do need to find out what people really think of you. Use surveys and position them up front, and or you can use 360s, and or have Heather debrief and ask the questions just on one-on-one. So,
and most important, always be in the mindset of seeking for, desiring, wanting feedback, because it's the single best way that you can grow personally and professionally.
Would you mind if I gave you some feedback right now?
Would you please give me feedback? Oh my God, I would love to hear feedback, especially live and in person. Yeah. Well, okay. What do you have for me? Please.
We probably shouldn't do this right now.
Why?
Should we?
I don't know. Why?
Yeah. No,
But
we've talked about it many a times, right?
We talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. He gives me feedback all the time, every day.
She just doesn't like to hear feedback. After she gets done, after you get done presenting, and if I give you some critical feedback, you're not very open to it. She likes all the good stuff. I'm sure you really do. You love the good stuff. You just don't like the bad stuff.
You're so funny. You're just doing this for effect. I know
I'm
you
not.
are. We do every single time we do any program. You guys know this. We do the LBNT, and I ask him for it. And I actually we've gotten to a point where we have a form that he fills out where he's writing down the LBNT.
Really like the NTs. You just like all the good stuff.
I like to hear the good stuff. Who doesn't? Of course I like the NTs. When I get frustrated with NTs, which I do sometimes, of course I do, I'm not frustrated that he's telling me. I already know when I've screwed something up, and I'm frustrated with me. But no, I absolutely do not ever want to do any kind of program without receiving that feedback from you or from the others in the audience. Because I know, look, as much as I don't want to hear it sometimes when I know I've messed up, the reality is I want to get better. And if I don't ask for feedback, I will not know. Or maybe I'll just know a fraction of what needs to improve.
Well, and you know what? The feedback that we've gotten from the surveys that we did from last week,
I haven't even seen it.
They're really, really good feedback. I don't think there's anything in here that was critical. But I do have a few things, but I'm always tougher on you because I'm with you all the time. So we see this presentation over and over in a lot of cases, and they're seeing it for the first time. And so it's, they're not picking and, nitpicking certain things. So I am a little bit more critical of it.
Well, and you should be, because your main priority is to make our team better, right? To make me a better presenter. So that's the other thing I think that's probably pretty powerful for all of you. Do you have somebody on your team who, like Paul, is going to be giving you hardcore, real, unfiltered, sometimes unsolicited feedback see, here's the thing. I always know that his intention, his heart is in the right place. And that's why I don't ever get mad at him about it. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I get frustrated with the feedback, but do you have somebody who you are working with on a regular basis every time you complete a project, every time you have a meeting, every time you give a presentation, where you actually are hearing, okay, what did you like best about this? Tell me what was good. And what could I do differently to get better next time? I mean, I think that's critical, that you have someone who you trust enough that can give you that really amazing feedback.
I think so too. So thank you for joining us for another Evolve to Win show. We hope you have a great day and a great week, and we will talk to you next week.
Have an awesome day.
Bye now.